Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is MKT number 311. Today I'm coming to you with episode 2 of Locomotives in Review. From the main lines to the display tracks, I will be covering it all. So, in today's episode, I will be taking a look at Chicago Northwestern 1015. So, without further ado, let's get going. Built in 1900 by what would soon become known as the American Locomotive Company, or Alco, the 1015 would be the first of 92 Atlantic types built for the Chicago Northwestern. For the first years of the Locomotive's life, the 1015 would pull the scene in the Chicago Northwestern portion of the Overland Limited between Chicago and Omaha. The Overland Limited was a train which ran between Chicago and San Francisco, pulled jointly by the Southern Pacific, Union Pacific, and Chicago Northwestern. But when steel passenger cars would soon begin replacing wooden passenger cars on the Overland Limited, the 1015 and the other remaining Atlantic types on the Chicago Northwestern would be replaced on large trains with more powerful motive power, most likely being replaced by Pacifics and 10-wheelers. The many Atlantics, including the 1015, would be reassigned to commuter trains, which were shorter in length and had shorter distances. Starting in the early 1930s, the Chicago Northwestern would begin to retire and subsequently scrap many of their Atlantics. In 1946, the 1015 would be pulled from service. After a few months of being in storage, the locomotive would be donated to the very, very young National Museum of Transportation in St. Louis as the very first locomotive exhibit they have. The last of Chicago Northwestern's Atlantic types would be retired in 1956, all subsequently being scrapped. Now, let's go over the locomotive's stats. The engine is a 442 Atlantic type locomotive. The engine was built in 1900 by Alco and weighs 80 tons. The engine also has 81-inch drivers, which would allow the locomotive to achieve speeds of well over 100 miles an hour. The engine has a tractive effort of 22,100 pounds and a boiler pressure of 200 pounds. Definitely a good-sized locomotive for any passenger train in the early 20th century. Today, the 1015 sits in the very back of the National Museum of Transportation. It's the only surviving Chicago Northwestern Atlantic, and is only one of a few Atlantics that continue to survive to this day, as one of the more rare locomotive classes that have managed to survive. The engine is one of the more neglected locomotives in the National Museum's collection, as the engine is outdoors and exposed to the elements. As of December 2020, I'm unsure of any plans that the National Museum of Transportation has to at least cosmetically restore the locomotive and restore it to its glory days. Honestly, this locomotive is in fact one of my favorite at the National Museum of Transportation, and honestly, I would like to see the engine's restoration is long overdue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have to say about this locomotive in this episode. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more. If you have any suggestions or want to see more of this series, please comment below. This is MKT 311 signing off. Have a wonderful rest of your day.